This is Jets at Noon on 680 CJOB.
Welcome into Jets at Noon. I'm Tyson Rowiecki, and hello, Jim Toth.
Bonjour. Hello, happy Thursday.
How's it going
Thursday.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was going good, and then I just on my timeline saw a Patrick Mats Naslund. Do you remember Mats Naslund?
I do. Not like vividly, but I know of him.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering because you're a lot younger than I am. But a photo of Patrick Mats Naslund at a reunion for the 1986 Stanley Cup winning team. So that would be, is that 40 years? Yeah, 90, 2006. No, 30.
What year again?
1986.
96 would be 30.
Were you even born yet?
No, I wasn't.
I can't do math. I don't know. But Mats Naslund, 651 games, 634 points, 1 year with the Bruins at the end, but he won the Stanley Cup in 86 with them. Patrick Roy, I see all the time, but Mats Naslund. And I would imagine Mike Keane is at this thing.
Yeah, probably. You would assume so. But my brother has a Patrick Waugh story that I can't tell on air, but he was not.
Well, now we got to get your brother on the air.
He was not very kind to him.
Oh, really? I'm shocked. Not Patrick.
I know. Out of all the guys, can you believe it? Patrick Waugh wasn't the best guy off the ice?
Anyways, they look like they could still play, both of them. But I'm doing good today. Happy Thursday. Lots more off-season talk to get to, but that stood out to me. I hated that. That's when I started disliking the Montreal Canadiens because they beat the Calgary Flames in 86.
Right.
And after finally getting past the Oilers, thanks to Steve Smith, I was like, this is finally going to happen. And it did not happen. And I was like, and all my buddies were Habs fans. And I'm like, I hate all of you.
You got there eventually, though.
Came around.
You know,
89.
You did get there.
That was the summer of Jim, the summer of 89. I'll tell you that right now. But
we're coming to you live from the Boston Pizza studio. For gourmet pizza and pasta, bring the team to Boston Pizza. And this hour is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road and at washmethod.com. We're giving away a VIP car wash. And Jim, I'm not going to lie, I don't know if you have the text line up right now.
I'm getting it up.
But there is a very, very early front runner for the text of the day. So if you want
I don't know why I said, that's a good thing.
If you want to win the VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method Car Wash, you're going to have to give some pretty good insight here, and would love for you to be a part of the show. 204-780-6868. And on today's show, Jim, I got 5 questions for you, and 5 burning questions that the Winnipeg Jets are facing as we head into this next season. We talked about it yesterday, just about how pivotal this season's going to be, and just how much pressure is on the Jets. So let's take a look at the 5 things that are really going to be.
Well, let's just, before we get to those 5 specific things, how much pressure do you think is on the Jets?
Oh, I think an immense amount
as
of
an
pressure.
organization. I'm to the point where I think and define pressure, I guess, because I'm of the opinion that if this goes like poorly out of the gate, 25 games in, I think Kevin Cheveldayoff might be on the block.
I think if this season goes poorly, maybe not just the beginning of the season, but let's say that, the Jets really disappoint again this year, I think it's a total clean house.
Yeah, so and what I mean by that is I don't think like in November 30th or December 15th, Kevin Cheveldayoff gets fired, but I think the season plays out and then there's some question about change and everything like that going on.
Yeah, no, I do think heads will roll. If it's just a full season of, we just aren't good enough.
But I mean, and for them, like the brass and the coaching staff, there's pressure every year, right? There's pressure on the players and stuff. So I think they approach it, even if things go poorly the first 25 games. It's not a reactionary organization, right? It's not that was it. That was like, I remember the story in Vancouver when Alain Vigneault had 11 losses in a row or was facing his 11th loss in a row. And they said, we are firing him if they lose tonight. And they were down like a couple goals and they came back and won that, and they decided to hold off just because they came back and won that game. I.e., you can't fire him after a win.
It's crazy.
And then they went on a run, but I heard it was like the next loss he's done, and then they won, and they kind of cooler heads prevailed. So I think this organization is of that, but I think there is enormous pressure on this organization more so than ever, not just because of Connor Hellebuck, but because of the rest of the core, because of the division they're in. I think there's more pressure. There's always pressure. Coming off the President's Trophy last year, there was pressure because they're like, okay, you took a step, you went to the second round. What are you going to do? And then it was just an absolute worst case scenario season. I think there's a ton of pressure to just get back into the playoffs.
Not to mention time's running out. Like,
Yes,
Mark Scheifele's inching near his mid-30s. Connor Hellebuck's inching near his mid-30s. Josh Morrissey's inching towards his near 30s, right? Like, you do kind of need to have some
and that's why there's
here.
pressure now, right?
Yeah.
You cannot not make the playoffs with this core, in my opinion. And then there's the pressure of the Hellebuck situation. But then there's the pressure of you're a year away from Morrissey's contract, and what's he going to do? Then there's the pressure of Scheifele. Then there's the pressure of Kyle Connor starting a $12 million contract. And I can promise you at his age, it's not $12 million per year to hope we make the playoffs 2 to 3 years from now. So I just think there's an enormous amount of pressure on this offseason. And I said that going into the offseason. I'm like, you have to fix this. There's no more of the moves I look at for this year include 2 years down the road. The moves you make or have not made are all about getting this team in the playoffs this year. So I think there's more pressure than ever on the organization.
Yeah, no, and I would probably lean towards the side that would say, hey, maybe we look towards the future a little bit and not try to emphasize winning. But I understand that thought process as well. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, which way you kind of lean. But, I understand why you want to go, let's give it one more shot and just see if we can get it done.
Oh,
and if
yeah.
not,
like,
then
I don't question that at all. I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people say it's time to maximize these assets and go in a new direction. I don't agree with that at all. When you have still built a solid core here, you are correct, and the time is running out on the core, but the time has not run out on the core.
No,
and it's not close. And to me, it's not starting to run out yet, but the starting of it running out is getting close. And it starts probably with this year. Like you have, if I look at this, I think you have 2 to 3 years with this core to be in the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, I don't know about that, Jim. I really don't. I don't think that's. I think you're looking at maybe 1 to 2, and that's if everything kind of goes your way. And that's where I kind of just give pause, where I'm thinking about the direction of this team, and it's a lot of hope. And that's where I get concerned. And then you got the aging core added on top of that. And it is a little bit, I'm not going to say a ticking time bomb, but that hourglass is definitely kind of going past the halfway point now. And now it's go time. If you want to win with this group, you're going to have to make some very creative moves this season in particular.
Well, and that's the Hellebuck thing to me, right? Like on
For
paper, how you go about this season is getting your identity back defensively, and you have Connor Hellebuck in net. If not, Connor Hellebuck's not in net, and what you've done with him has garnered you the offense that with the defensive game that you can have some depth going forward that way. But I just think it's more pressure than ever to get some stuff done and go at it than like last year. Everybody, because of the season they had, was waiting to get fired, and I'm like, no, you don't do that after 1 year. But I'll even add, if this core was 3 years younger, not a chance of that. But the way they are, I think you have 2 to 3 years, and you have to get in the playoffs the two, like next year and the year after, and you keep augmenting and making a run at that. After 3 more years of this, and I'm not saying it's going to go 3 more years. I'm just saying, like, say they come back, they make the playoffs, they're the first wild card team, they go to the first or second round, and then it's again, you have this core and you're a playoff team again, and you build even more around that for the year after that. But after that, into that third year, I think that now that has all changed. If you are 5-20 out of the gate,
oh yeah,
that changes everything.
Yeah, you got to make some serious changes at that point. So what do the Jets need to have go right to be on that contender side of things? And looking at the first question I have, I'll go from 5 to 1. Least, or I'll say the least pressing questions will go first, and then one things off with the most pressing. Number 5, Jim, does Dustin Byfuglien make it to the alumni game? I'm kidding. I'm kidding on that one. He's going to be there. He was just joking at that Kenora Fishing Derby.
Jeff Merrick story is outstanding.
Yeah, no, that's very good. If you haven't seen that, check it out on Jeff Merrick's social media pages. But Jim, the real first question here, how does this team fix their special teams woes from last year? Power play last season was 24th in the league. Penalty kill was 21st. The season before that, when they win the President's Trophy, of course, they were 13th in penalty killing and then number 1 in on the power play. And there wasn't too much personnel changes, when it comes to both of those units. So what exactly do they need to do? What kind of areas do they need to change to get back to having those good special teams that they had 2 seasons ago?
Well, the thing that I noticed about the power play was it wasn't just Nick Ehlers' skills, but his entrance into the zone. They have to get the puck in on the power play, and they have to make the most of it when it's in there. I still like this power play. So it depends how you feel about last season and why things went off the rails so much, right? And do I think it was like I look at this power play and I still like it. I think it's one of the better ones depth wise, and how they go about it. So. But to me, you have to have better play on this power play. I don't think you need to add anything to it. If it is going to remain Velarde, Scheifele, Perfetti, Morrissey, and Kyle Connor, I like that. But you got to get better play out of Cole Perfetti. You got to get Josh Morrissey running the point, and you have to find some weaknesses on it. The second power play, this is what I don't think is talked about enough when it comes to the power play. The reason it was so good the year previous is because both units were firing on all cylinders. There were nights where they would get 2 power play goals, and they both came from the second power play unit. So I think that's a bit interesting to me, because right now I think it's Nemestikov, Lambert, Niederreiter, Pionk, and Rosen. And if you go back to the older days, that's why Ehlers was on the second unit, is because they didn't want the second power play to be so unattractive in this. So I think, if say you put a Perfetti on the second unit and brought up a Brad Lambert on the top unit, I don't know if that balances them out or not. But to me, to get the power play going, I just think you need better play from the people on it. Yeah.
And I do think that there needs to be, I hate when people are just, you got to get pucks on net on the power play at all times. But there were times for the Jets where, especially, I feel like they don't have that one-timer threat. Where it's
I can see that.
Like Kyle Connor will take one-timers, but he's not known for having an overpowering shot, right? It's more so his quick release that deceives goaltenders.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if maybe you'd be better served having a guy who could rip the puck a little bit on a one-timer. That's not necessary, but what worked so well for the Jets in the President's Trophy winning season was that there was so much movement. The power play was so unpredictable.
To me, this is a core that I've watched for so many years, that if the puck moves, they're fine. But it's when they wait and they look and they want that spot, or to feed the one-timer to Connor, or the bumper position, like they wait for that to open up. I'm just like, move the puck.
It's also too much perimeter play. There was too much. That's what I mean. Too much
move the puck quickly so things open up and then go inside.
Yeah, like there was so many times throughout the year where the bumper just seemed unutilized on the power play, and you just can't have that. You can't have the guy who's supposed to be in the middle of the ice where you get the most dangerous scoring chances be so ineffective.
And that's why Gabe Velarde's so good, right? Like, when Wheeler would do that on the side, everybody knew he was looking to pass it out front, right? The odd shot.
Right.
But with Velarde, you don't know if he's going to turn and shoot. You don't know if he's going to turn and go to the net. You don't know if he's passing it out front. And that's why I think he's a big key to that power play. But then you have to have Perfetti, right? Like, Perfetti has to have a good... this might be another one of the questions going forward, but in the power play, to me, you need better play from the players moving the puck faster, but then you need better play from Cole Perfetti. He's got to be a power play demon a little bit. The secondary guy, right? That if Connor and Scheifele aren't there and Velarde needs another option, he's got to be that guy.
Yeah, and I could even see him being a guy that they maybe utilize, outside of the bumper, maybe put him behind the net and have some of that playmaking ability where you can find Scheifele or you can find Connor on the flanks.
Yes.
And just have him kind of be that distributor. Sees the whole ice out in front of him as well. So that could be interesting. But what about the penalty kill right before we hit the break here?
Well, the penalty kill, I actually think this improves with Ferraro coming in. He's a great penalty killer. I think that you have guys like Lowry will be on it for sure. But I think that, like, I love the idea of the Cole Koepke, Morgan Barron, and I like Kyle Connor on the penalty kill. I don't know how much they want to play him. But hey, if we're going to make it $12 million, maybe we'll play a little bit more on the special teams. And I think that dangerous option. I wouldn't do it the first unit. I like him on the second unit. So if the PK ends, he's out there and stuff. But I like the Barron, the Koepke, the speed of that, and the Iafalos, the Lowrys. But I really think the Dylan DeMello is the Mario Ferraro. And I think it could improve with DeMello maybe not being the top pairing guy. Out of the gate, he might be. But I'm interested at training camp to see if it's Neil Pionk, Josh Morrissey. It won't be at the start of the year because of Salamonson, but I'm wondering around Christmas time if it's Neil Pionk, Josh Morrissey, Dylan Sandberg. Dylan Sandberg is a good penalty killer too, and Neil Pionk with Sandberg, And then you have Ferraro and Dylan DeMello as your shutdown D guys, 5-on-5, and your penalty killers.
Yep. You just need to have that organized chaos on the
Ferraro
penalty kill.
blocks a ton of shots.
Yep. And the health of Dylan Sandberg and Adam Lowry hopefully being fully healthy come the start of regular season, that's going to be a huge impact on the penalty kill as well. Let us know what you think. 204-780-6868. Bob says Scheif has a wicked one-timer. That's true. Yeah. You just they got to use it a little bit more instead of having him be the playmaker, have him be the trigger man. But let us know what you think. We're coming to you live from the Boston
telling us
Pizza.
He's a passer though. He's a playmaker, even though he's got a 40-goal season.
We'll see. We're coming to you live from the Boston Pizza studio. Coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. And we'll be right back with more Jets at noon right after this.
Jets at noon on 680 CJOB.
Jim, right before we head for break here, I want to read this one text from Cameron. And Cameron says, what happens with the Jets if they start the season off 13-12? And I know what Cameron's trying to get at here, where, again, you're in the mushy middle. But if you're 13-12, 25 games into the season, there is still a lot of season left. And maybe I personally wouldn't do it, but I think the Jets at that point would just continue to stick things out and see what happens.
Yeah, if you're above 500, even by one game, you're not getting rid of anything or panicking, or there's so much season left and you hope to go on a run and get a 6-game winning streak going or something like that. I don't see any changes. Like, I don't, honestly, you can 13-12. I think if you're 11-12 or 10-12, there's not much change.
Yeah.
I think the change would have to come, or something would have to be done if it's like 5-15.
There's going to have to be a real clear sign that they don't have it. And at 13-12, there's not a clear sign that you don't have it yet, in my opinion. But we got a break for the 12:30 news. We'll be back with more Jets at noon right after this. Welcome back. We're coming to you live from the Boston Pizza studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. And we're also brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road, and at washmethod.com. We'll head to the text line here, 204-780-6868. After we read that 13-12 question, we got Kevin asking us, at 5-15, who goes first, Chevy or Arneal? You would have to think the coach goes first, no?
Well, yeah, you would have to. The GM has to get rid of the coach. That's the way it works. But I don't think this is going to happen at all. I really don't. Like, what's lost in last year, in my opinion, is they didn't play well.
No, they did not.
Like, it's not like we could look at teams like Seattle, and we were talking about this on the podcast today. I'm like, what is Seattle? Where are they going? What's the direction? Who's going to carry them? Who's going to, that's a team that I look at and I'm like, what are they? Where are they going? What are they doing?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's listeners out there that you might not like this core anymore. You might think they're too old. But you can't not look at it and go, well,
it's better than Seattle's, but
I'm not saying they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you look at the past 3 seasons, there's 2 great ones and 1 bad one. The one was horrific, but the other one was sensational. There's somewhere in the middle, right? I don't know anybody that looks at this and goes, this is terrible and this isn't going anywhere. Like, there's a chance they get back in the playoffs. There's a chance they miss the playoffs. But to sit here and go, oh, they're going to go 5-15. Like, what are the likelihood of them going 5-15?
You never know. Probably, but I would say probably like maybe a 15%.
I'm not
chance.
saying it's not possible. Yeah. I'm just saying, what's the likelihood of it?
Probably like a 50%
like the
chance.
texter said 13-12. I think that's the highest likelihood.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because it's a tough division. They have a tough schedule out of the gate. If you're asking me what's most likely to happen, and that's why we watch, because we never know, I think it's 13-12 is more likely than 5-15 or 25-5.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to a couple other texts in our last segment here, Jim. But I want to go to the next question now, which is, which young gun do you think will make the biggest impact on the Winnipeg Jets this season?
Well,
Could be a name like Vigo Bjork. Could be a name like Elias Salamonson, Brad Lambert, Ishak Rosane. Any one of those guys, or maybe a guy that is flying under the radar a little bit. But who do you think could make the biggest impact out of the Jets' young guns?
Yeah, I'll go back to the second power play unit actually and say I think Bjork's on it, so that makes it a little bit more dynamic right away. But the biggest impact is funny because I think all eyes are on Bjork, and honestly, let's be honest, we're not kidding anybody. He's probably the one that could have the biggest impact and probably be given the most opportunity if he's a second line center to have the biggest impact. But I've got two names in mind, and I think the ones that could have the biggest impact is Brad Lambert and Elias Salamonson. I think when Elias Salamonson comes back in healthy, and if he can get, that consistent play after he's got the experience and all that, and if he's in the top four, he could have a real impact on this season. The second one is Brad Lambert. There hasn't been a lot of talk about Brad Lambert, and we all know that he was given permission to seek a trade and all that. But if they are literally, and I don't know why they wouldn't be, looking to find some combinations that produce some secondary scoring, because we all know Scheifele and Connor are going to produce. That's just a given.
Yes.
And so then you could move Velarde down, Bjork, Perfetti. That might have some. Where is Brad Lambert in this lineup? And when he is somewhere, can he, I love Iafallo in the bottom six, and I don't mind put Brad Lambert somewhere, and I think he could have the biggest impact. It's usually somebody like that, right? A Jagger, a Lambert that kind of comes in, maybe has 1 point in the first 9 games, and then just, every second game chips in a point and does stuff. So I think at the forefront it's Bjork, but the two I'm looking at is and I know Salamonson's going to be out for a lot of games, but I think that he could have potentially the biggest impact along with, if Brad Lambert can solidify himself, he's got the speed, he's got the shot. It's the rest of his game, and if he's working this summer and he's working on the corners and the puck battles, and he can use his speed, because look, if you're a Jet player right now and you have speed, I think they're looking for you.
Yeah,
they're looking for you to be able to play right now,
and it's make or break for Brad Lambert, really.
Whereas I think if you came in and had the same training camp as Niederreiter and Nemestikov in years past, I think we're going with the veteran.
Yes.
And I think even if you have a slightly better training camp than those two, we're going with the veteran. You'd have to blow the doors off. And in 4 preseason games, I don't think you can. But the Lambert has to me that if you can come in and any player with speed and you can play just as good as those guys, I think they're going to go with you.
Yeah, you don't tell them that, hey, you have a spot here, but hey, man, if you beat out these vets, we're not even saying you got to blow our socks off. You just got to beat those guys out. Yeah. If you do that, we have a spot in the lineup for you.
The Scott Arniel I've watched is talking to these guys like, Nino, this is what we need from you, blah, blah, blah. And he's going over to the Lamberts and the Jaegers and is like, this is what we need from you, blah, 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 but use your speed.
Yes, and Brad Lambert's going to turn 23 in December. Not to say that no one's ever made the NHL after not playing many games after the age of 23, but statistically, your chances go way, way down. The more that you're not getting consistent NHL playing time. So this is a really big year for him.
But not in this team. In this team, you could be 24, 25 and make it. Because they don't have a lot of other options they're looking at to sign. They can't go to free agency. And I know we're going to do this later in the week or next week and look at who's available, RFA, or not RFA, but UFA. But here, you can be 23 and get a shot. You can be 24 and get a shot.
Yeah, it's just if you get to 24, 25 without playing consistent NHL time, you're probably never going to play consistent NHL time. That's just
no, those are the stats, right? Yeah, I just think Winnipeg's different because they have to hang on to these guys like Grim Death and give them every opportunity more so than other teams.
So, Jim, this next question here is one that I've been thinking about for a while, and it's something that's really been weighing on my mind. I don't think too often, but when I do think, I think hard. And so this one's been really on my mind. Maybe, but
I think hard.
How does this team shake the label that's been placed on them? Everyone around the league, they know like we do here in Winnipeg that people, it's a little bit harder to attract guys to come here just based off of weather and other parameters around it. But that just can't be the messaging that consistently goes out there. You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels like, well, hey, it's hard to get guys here, so we're not able to always make big plays in free agency or make big plays in the trade market and get guys who have no move clauses. But you can't just fall back on that. That can't just be an excuse that you use time and time again. So how do you shake that label of almost being like the little brother of the league?
Well, you make a trade. And you make a trade for like a Gabe Vilardi that you see, you have the vision for. That's why when we were talking trades back when Cam was here, that when we're talking trades, I'm like, you're not going to trade for the guys you're dealing. You're trading for 2 or 3 of the guys you think are going to go. And that's why when we were talking about like drafting and developing, that's lost in that, right? Because we think draft picks and developing. We don't think of when they make trades and he looks at guys, they're always guys that like Isaac Rosean is one of them. Like if he's a prime candidate to come in and within 2 years be a really good producing forward, because that's what he does, right?
Yes.
Remember when the Neil Pionk trade was the Jacob Trouba trade?
Yeah.
Remember when the Pierre-Luc Dubois, the Gabe Vilardi trade was the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade?
For sure.
Like he's made a history of that, right? It's guys that have some term that you go and get, and that they're not there quite yet. And he signed contracts that way. Like Mark Scheifele got his big contract on 48 points, and the next year he's a point per game player. That's the kind of scouting that you kind of do to fix that, is if you are going to move a Connor Hellebuck, the names that come back, Morgan Barron. Remember the Morgan Barron trade? That was the Andrew Kopp trade.
Yep.
There's 3 trades I just told you that when they were made, that's the Jacob Trouba trade, that's the Andrew Kopp trade, that's the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. And how did they all pan out? They're now considered the Neil Pionk trade. They're now considered the Gabe Vilardi trade. They're now considered the Morgan Barron trade.
I'm 100% on board with the fact that they extracted as much value as they possibly could out of their deals, which is awesome, it's great work done by Chevy in that regard. But does that move the needle to change people's opinions on this franchise and on this city right now? And I just think that
you mean outsiders' opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just think that sometimes it's a little bit hard to convince people when the past 3 years in particular, it's been a little difficult in really trying to make that splash. Maybe when they got rentals, but nothing crazy.
You know why it's so great to get other media on when they're playing games and visiting media? Because I always like to ask, what do you make of the Jets? Like last year, we did a lot of visiting media. What do you make of the Jets this year? And they're like, I can't figure it out. Like on paper, they're really good. And on paper, they look this. When I do other radio shows, like in other markets, that's what they ask me. It's funny, right? Because, and I know the majority of the fan base likes this team and likes the way it's constructed. They're wondering about the age of it and where it's going and stuff. And we hear from a lot of the vocal ones, but the vocal ones that are negative, and that's fine. We welcome those opinions. But I'm just saying we hear them consistently, right? But I don't think they're the majority. I think they're the minorities who have their own opinions. We appreciate that. But like when I go on Vancouver radio, used to with Sportsnet, they're like, who wouldn't want a Mark Scheifele? Who wouldn't want a Kyle Connor? And I'm like, well, there's some Jets fans that want to fire Kyle Connor into the sun. Well, I hear from them every single game. He has a turnover. And they're like, what are you talking about? We would take a Kyle Connor in a heartbeat. So that's why it's good to get outsiders' opinions. But you bring up a valid point and Nick Ehlers brought this up, right? He said once, I think 2 playoffs ago, we know what the other teams think of us.
Yeah.
We know what other, and that's what players talk, right? Like other players. And that's what I think happened with Hellebuck and Dylan Larkin and everybody else. I think these American athletes sat around and had 3 meals together for 2 weeks. And the conversations are like, and I honestly believe Connor Hellebuck was, you like Winnipeg? Yeah, I love it there. Really? You like Winnipeg? I think that's some of the conversations. And then you have the Eichels and the Matthew Tkachuk sitting around going, well, I said I wasn't resigning, or I wanted to move and I want a cup. I went to Vegas and won a cup. I went to Florida and won a cup. And the wheels start turning,
it's tempting.
Right?
It's very tempting.
And so I don't think Connor Hellebuck hates Winnipeg.
No.
I just think he's worried about winning, as most fans are right now.
Yeah.
You just talked about the pressure going into this season, right? So, but it's interesting getting out. I think the outsiders do think like they're behind the 8 ball. I think that people think that. And I think American athletes who go from Calgary, Alberta to Florida and that go from Buffalo, New York to Las Vegas say it worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it there. Good for you. But I like Buffalo, but I love Vegas. And I think those conversations happen, right? So how you change that perception is you, the little train that could. You rise up and you win some playoff series and be honest with you win a Stanley Cup.
Yep. No, that's a fair point. It's getting harder and harder as the year's been going on here. But we got to take a quick break. Come to you live from the Boston, this is brought to you by the Boston Pizza Hockey Hotline.
You think they say the same thing about when like the team itself? Like
Like the organization, I don't know. I'm not privy enough to know
Like
about
other
those
players
things.
and
But
stuff,
I'm
and-
sure they talk about what goes on, and players know. Everyone has buddies around the league. It's probably the tightest league out of all of them. So
I think when you go in, I think the other teams, the players, when you go into a playoff series with the Jets, I think they're like, they can't do it. I think that's what they say.
yeah, for sure. Call the Boston Pizza hotline, 204-780-6800. We only have one voicemail at the moment, so could have a decent chance of winning that $50 gift card to Boston Pizza, where you can come in for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza, get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. And we'll be right back with more Jets at Noon right after this.
I rise up when I hear that. They're Winnipeg. This will be easy. I'm like, oh, really?
That's all you can do.
Yeah. Silent assassin.
Jets at Noon on 680 CJOB.
Can I just plug something quick?
Absolutely.
TSN and Bell media journalist Rick Westhead is going to join me today on the Jim Toll Show at 1:30. He's going to do 2 segments. There's a new movie that came out in May called Code of Misconduct, where they followed him during the World Junior Hockey Players Trial. And he's also got a book out on hockey culture. So we're going to do a full half hour with Rick Westhead at 1:30 today.
Excellent. Rick is the man. So
yeah, I really like Rick, and I really respect all of the work he does.
Yeah, and text the show, 204-780-6868. We got one texter here, Jim. Brings up a lot of good points.
Let's have it.
I think deep down, Toast doesn't like Winnipeg or the Jets. The words he chooses sometimes. He also got that Albertans thinks they're better than everybody syndrome. I'll take our beautiful wheat fields over your thick, unsellable, fake sludge Alberta oil all day. You were just in Alberta too, Jim, so he's kind of got a point.
Yeah, no, I love I hate Winnipeg. I cannot stand it. This is a refreshing text because usually I'm called a homer and the Jets can do no wrong. No, I appreciate that. I've been hating it for 20 plus years now, and I can't wait to get out of here.
Wow. That's pretty damning.
I told my family the other day, I know we have roots here and we're going to stay here forever, but I cannot stand it here.
Look, you built something here, and then you just want to tear it down, don't you, Jim?
The only untruth to this text is I've never thought I was better than anybody. Trust me. You can know that, right? Hey, good job today, Jim. I don't think so.
Yeah. No, usually the shows just end. Usually the show just end with a shrug, and then
you were great though.
We got 2 more quick questions here, Jim, that I want to get to, because the first one we've talked about a ton. But second question I have for you: is this team too similar to last year's Jets?
Well, they're very similar. I mean, somebody texted that Andy, I think, who listens. Thanks, Andy. Is texted 2 days ago. They're not even the same team as the President's Cup trophy. And I'm like, other than Ehlers, they're the exact same team. The only changes are Ferraro and Stuart Skinner. So I think they're better in that position. Do I think it's world changing? No, but they're better in those positions.
Some young guys.
Some young guys coming in and stuff. But the question is, are they better? Or are they the same?
Is this team's too similar? Because last year, I mean, they really struggled.
I hate to sound like a broken record. I just didn't think they played well. In the past 3 years, I've seen them play exceptionally well, these same core players, and now they have some younger ones. I just think they need to get back to their system. And not like to the way of the President's Trophy even, but just get back to a basic consistency night in and night out. And I think they're better that way. How much better and what it can do will be fascinating because the league has changed, right, to the speed game. And I just go back to Scott Arniel, that Buffalo game, when he's like, we just did video and talked for 3 hours before the game about not giving up any rush chances. And then we gave up 9 rush chances and 4 goals off the rush. That's the disconnect I wonder about. Like if they're coaching it, they're working it. If the team can get back to it, but they didn't last year, right?
Yeah, it's just the year.
It was better after the Olympics. They kind of got it back. They got to get it back. So to me, I don't need a lot of player change to make it better. I need them to play the way I've seen them play. If I hadn't seen them play this way before, then I would be like, yeah, I think you need some changes. But I literally saw it for 2 years with this core. And then their key players that keep getting older keep getting better.
Well, we'll see if they do get better. Not even get better, if they can just revert back to it.
But the depth is the question for me. Like the secondary scoring and stuff, I don't know if that's the ominous one for me.
I am concerned just about, another season. Like how much slower do some of those guys in the bottom 6 that are getting up there in age?
Well, that's
How
what
much
I
do
mean.
they
Like
look?
that's the peripheral, the top, the back end. I like. It's the middle part that I'm just like I don't know. Like I got to see this.
And Jim, the last question, the most pressing question for the Jets as they head into this season. Can you take a wild guess at who's involved in this question?
I can't.
Well, it's number 37.
Oh,
Connor Hellebuck.
yes.
Just what the heck happens with him?
I don't know. I still have this feeling he's. I don't know when, but I think he might get traded.
I think so too.
And I think that way because of the way it's gone, what we keep hearing, but also if you have a player that is halfway out the door, you don't do it unless you make your team better. Wow. But if you can make your team better, and I'll say this, if they could have made what they feel their team better going into this year from what that last question was of how they look, I think they would have done it.
Yeah, I'm still keeping an eye on Florida. I wonder if Jacob Markstrom struggles to start the year, if they pull the trigger on it and maybe give up more than they were willing to. But that does it for us today, Jim. Tomorrow, what
I won't
day
be here.
is
I'm
it?
going back to Alberta. I'm going to move the team to Lethbridge.
Give us one for old
We're
time's
going to play
sake,
out of the
then.
NMAX Center. I'll do one more.
Give us a.
But after that, I'm out of here.
Give us a free for all for.
Oh, wait, I'll do my show first.
Oh, of course. Jim will tell us we'll take you all the way to 2 o'clock. Rick Westhead once again is at 1:30 with Jim Toth. Will be a really good interview there. Special thanks to Jeff Fortier for making the show go. I'm Tyson Rowicki, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.